Hello everyone, welcome to CS Code Academy. Here in this video we are going to study about spiral model. Okay, before going in detail to the spiral model, first as an engineer, if you got an opportunity to build a spacecraft, will you build that entire spacecraft in one attempt without checking each part whether they are working correctly or not? Of course, no, right? As the project is expensive and risky, so the developers should initially build a prototype or the small version of the software. Next, they have to test it, and then they have to improve the design, and then they can continue with the development work. So similarly, some software projects follow the same approach. So that approach is nothing but your spiral model. First, to start with the definition, as I said, risky. So that risk term, wherever comes, so you have to associate with the spiral model. The spiral model is a risk-driven software development model that combines iterative development with systematic risk analysis. Okay, so how the risk will get analyzed systematically and why it is called as iterative model, we'll see when we moved to the phases, actual phases. Spiral model having the 4 phases. Okay, first phase is planning, second is risk analysis, third is development and verification, and fourth one is plan for the next phase. In the spiral model, here I have written 4 phases. One represents planning, second one risk analysis, third one is development and verification, and fourth phase is plan for the next phase. The development process moves in the shape of spiral. Okay, so each loop of the spiral represents one development cycle. After completing one development cycle, with every new loop, the software becomes more complete, the risks will get analyzed and will get reduced, customer feedback is considered. When it comes for first stage, that is planning, this is the first stage of every spiral. Here in this stage or in this phase, the developers need to identify the objectives, what has to be developed, and alternative solutions, project goal, customer requirements, and the constraints, possible constraints like time, budget, and the technology. So these things will get gathered here. Conclusively, here we will tell what has to be developed in the current cycle. The next phase is risk analysis. After determining the objective, the team analyzes the risk and they answer the questions like, they identify the questions like, will the Optic technology work? Are there any security risk? And can we complete the project within time and budget? Is there any problem apart from the listed issues? Okay, if necessary, they'll come up with the prototype and the experiments to reduce the risk and the problems associated with the project. So here in risk analysis, conclusively what we'll do is we will find the risk, we will try to resolve the risk, and we will evaluate the alternatives for the objectives that we have taken from the planning phase, and next, if possible or if necessary, we will come up with the prototype design. So the continuing with this, the third phase is development and verification. Okay, once the risk have been analyzed, the team will come up with actual developing the code. The activities include design, development or coding, and followed by testing. At this stage, we will develop and we will test of the product whether it is working as intended. Okay, Conclusively, we can say here the team will develop and verify the working version of the software. So next, coming to the phase 4, that is plan next phases. In this phase, okay, after taking the reviews from the customer about the current version, the team plans for the next version of that software. Okay, so the team will take reviews from the customer and plan next which features to be incorporated or to be given as an increment, and how improvements can be brought, and they will work on the next objective or the next goal. So in this, conclusively, we can say in this stage the team plans for the next developing the features by taking the customer reviews, and they improve the version, and they will plan what to do in the next cycle. Fourth phase, after taking the review from the customer, the team will plan for what to do in the next cycle or the next spiral. They'll take the review from the customer about the current release, and they will plan for the next phase. So possible plans they will make. They'll decide what features to be developed in the next cycle. They'll analyze the risk and the problems associated with that goal or objective, and they'll prepare for the next development cycle. So conclusively, I can say they will plan, they'll take the review from the customer, they will plan for the next cycle what features to be developed. Summary about 4 phases. In the first phase, that is planning, the goal will determine and will work on fulfilling that goal and constraints, and will collect all requirements. In the next phase, that is second phase, risk analysis, how the problems, associated problems or risk can be reduced or minimized or eliminated, and they'll come up with a prototype model for that objective or the goal. Okay, finalizing with the prototype, they'll go to the third phase, that is development and verification. In that phase, the model which is finalized, so that one will go with what? Design, coding and testing. In testing, you can have unit testing, integration testing, system testing and acceptance testing. And next the model will get implemented, and here we have written software requirement, software product design and verification of the design. Okay, so all those things will happen in this development and verification. Next phase, after that we have this plan next phases. We'll take the customer reviews, feedbacks, and based on that we will decide what features to get implemented next. So we'll prepare a plan and the cycle continues. Every spiral will determine the development process. Okay, if the spirals are more, then it has taken more effort, more time and more money in order to complete the project as a whole. Okay, next, moving on, we'll discuss advantages and disadvantages. Moving to advantages, here I have listed some of the advantages, like excellent risk management. The biggest advantage of this spiral model is it identifies the risk, it analyzes the risk, and it, as far as possible, it reduces the risk by giving alternate solutions. Risky projects or the projects which involves the risk factor to be handled effectively, so those kind of projects or the softwares will have to be get developed through a spiral model. Okay, continuous customer feedback, that is the advantage. So here continuous, after every spiral the customer reviews are taken, and collectively they'll get the feedback, and improvements can be incorporated in the next cycle, so that customer reviews and feedbacks ensures that the project will meet the customer requirement or specification. And next, third advantage is easy to accommodate changes. the customer wants changes to get incorporated in the project, then those accommodation of those changes in the project will be easier. They will incorporate in the next cycles. So those changes will be easier to accommodate. And better software quality, the developed software is continuously tested, verified, and here better software quality, the developed software is tested repeatedly, so the defects are detected early, improving the quality of the software. So suitable for high risk projects. As the project is expensive, and system analyst or the risk analyst will get involved in these projects in analyzing the risk factor of the project. So these are suitable for the projects which have the risk high, like the banking sector, defense, or aerospace projects. Moving to disadvantages, here I have listed some of the disadvantages, like expensive, experienced risk analysts needed, complex to manage, not suitable for small projects, and take more time. First disadvantage is expensive, due to repeated planning, risk analysis, and the development work and the testing. So the project cost will be what? Expensive. Next, experienced risk analysis. After in each spiral, when the cycle begins, after determining the goal, the risk has to be analyzed and handled or managed properly. So we need expert risk analyst. Okay, not the normal people can analyze the risk associated with the project. So we need to take experienced risk analyst to determine and to validate the risk and to manage with the risk. So that is what we need. That is a disadvantage. And complex to manage, as every cycle says, we need to collect the requirement. Next, risk analysis and associated prototyping model. And next, if they get approved with the prototype model, they have to start developing the code. After developing the code, next they have to plan for the next release. So all those things, as every cycle will be having those set of activities for each goal, so it will become complex to manage. Next, not suitable for small projects. As I said, set of activities are more, and repeated fine tuning has to be done in order to improve the quality through iteration by iteration, that is cycle by cycle. So it is not suitable for the small projects, and the efforts, time, and budget will be more as expected, and it takes more time. As I said, each phases, they need to take the customer feedback, reviews, and they have to work on it. So it will take longer time than expected one. These are the disadvantages of the spiral model. To summarize, this spiral model is what risk-driven development model, in which the software will get developed through iterations and by doing proper risk analysis or systematic risk analysis. And these are the phases. I have written 4 phases. Like every development will be done in the shape of a spiral. Each loop of the spiral represents the development cycle. In each cycle, will collect the requirements, will gather the requirements, will do risk analysis, and they'll come up with the prototype model, and then the development, actual development like design, coding, and testing will be done. Before that, we'll have the system requirements, and will validate those requirements, will come up with the software design and will validate the design, and the next will implement, and following that is plan for the next phase. Like in case of planning, will determine the objective, will shortlist the constraints, and will come up with the alternative solutions, and requirements will get gathered. Actually, planning will say what has to be developed. And risk analysis, it will evaluate, it will analyze the risk, and it will resolve the risk, and accordingly it will build the prototype for that model. Following with that is you have development and verification. If the prototype is approved, then we'll go with the designing, coding, and testing. Testing, as I said, unit testing, integration testing, and acceptance testing will do, and next we'll implement. So that is what we'll do here. So next is the plan for the next phases. We'll take the customer reviews, feedbacks, and based on that we'll improve whatever we have developed in the existing iteration, and will incorporate the other features which have to be released next. So those things we can plan in the phase 4. So this is about spiral model phases, 4 phases, like 4 quadrants. It will go in spiral shape. So while coming to this advantages and disadvantages, risk will be managed effectively, and will take customer feedback and reviews that will improvise the software, and easy to accommodate changes. Whatever changes customer will suggest, those things can be incorporated in the next cycle or the next spiral. Okay, better software quality, as testing will do after developing the code. So we'll make sure that the software meets the quality. Means suitable for high risk projects, where the projects have numerous features and risk associated with that project. So such projects can be incorporated using developed using spiral model, like banking application, defense, or aerospace projects. While moving to disadvantages, as it is expensive, as you can see, so many phases are involved, and every cycle will give the part of the product or the software, not the whole software. So it is expensive. The project has to go through several spirals. So expensive, and we need experienced risk analyst, okay, to analyze the risk, to resolve those risks, and to provide alternate solutions for those risks. We need experienced risk analyst. And complex to manage, if so many features will be there, so risk is more. So here phases are more. It is what complex to manage, and not suitable for small projects. So many things are involved if the project is small, so it is waste investing, like analyzing the risk, coming up with the alternative solutions, and coming with the prototype model, and then developing, and then taking the feedback. So it is waste if we do this spiral model kind of development for the small projects. And next, it takes more time. Of course, it will take more time. More spirals means more time required to develop the project. So that's it about spiral model. Thank you for watching. Please like my content, and do subscribe to my channel, and press the bell icon to receive future updates. Thank you.